I'm on now. Oh, shall I start all over? Welcome. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist congregation, the church that puts its faith in you. A place where you can be yourself, but not by yourself. I'm Martha Sinkula, your service leader. We are so glad that you're here with us today. I especially welcome those of you who are watching from home and those who are visiting for the first time. And I see some visitors that are coming and going and getting to be part of us. Welcome again. Please stay for coffee and conversation afterwards so we can all get to know each other better. Today we continue our live streaming to bring our service to the greater community. You use the link in the UMQuest. If you have a cell phone, which I just turned mine off, please do. And I want to thank Alan Mary Herring, our greeters today. I want to thank Jake, our media superstar back in the back, Sean, our music star, and Jen in the office for helping us put this service together. Again, thanks to everyone of you who are with us today for caring to keep this important place vital. We are delighted to again have Dennis Reynolds with us. As you know, he's now serving the congregation as an interim developmental minister on a quarter-time basis. His office hours are Tuesdays 1 to 4. So if you really would like to get to know him better or have any concerns or things to talk about, please call the office and make an appointment 1 to 4 on Tuesdays. This is in addition to the dates that he already comes and spends with us 1 or 2 Sundays a month. He brings an extensive background of humor and insight, and he's eager to meet and work with all of us, the current committees and administration, to help our congregation grow and thrive. We are grateful for his guidance and this opportunity, and he will be attending our board meeting today. Please look at your order of service. The insert has some very colorful things in it. Please take time to read. We've got the open mic on Wednesday. And a new thing in the green on the first page, Dennis is going to have a meditation practice starting this Tuesday from 4 to 5. So it'll be weekly. You don't have to make an appointment, just show up, be ready to sit and ponder and learn to meditate or just to chill, whatever you need to do. It'll be an interesting thing. We have all kinds of things in the back. Please take a look, jewelry making, collage making, and Al's doing a religious odyssey. Would you like to come up now? Go ahead. Lots of exciting things. This is Al Herring, who's going to do the religious odyssey.
Sex, politics, and religion. Do I have your attention yet? Okay. Well, there's a common adage that say these are dangerous things to discuss publicly, but as you see in your announcements, we have an invitation for interested people to share the story of their religious or spiritual journey with other like-minded people. And it's in your insert there, but we have more information in the back, more details on the meetings, when they are, and if you'd like to join us, we have a sign-up sheet. So hope to see you there. These can be instructional, and it's a chance to share stories and socialize, and they can even be some fun. Hope to see you there.
Thank you, Al. Our board currently needs another member at large and also a treasurer. And we are now, right now, have a paid part-time accountant who does all the financials. So a treasurer's position would provide a monthly report from the accountant to the board and be a voting member of the board. For more information, please see me or contact Lillian Fifield. If either any of you would be interested or want to know more about it, we would appreciate your interest. Now, if we start off with our compassion for fish collection, and if I could have a volunteer or two, maybe Anna, you could do the whole thing, or we could have somebody from this side. Any brave soul? Oh, good. Greg and Annan, please help yourself. This is for the need, for those in needs in our congregation service to the greater Roseburg community. We collect contributions of food and money to provide those living amongst us who are hungry, ill, and without shelter. And this is, we do this weekly. Our support of the fish pantry is a combined effort of several Roseburg churches. Thank you, Annan. Thank you, Greg. You want me to intro?
As is our tradition, we begin to deepen our time of worship with the lighting of our chalice. Our words are from No Mud, No Lotus by the Venerable Thich Nhat Hanh.
According to the creation story, in the biblical book of Genesis, God said, "Let there be light."
I like to imagine the light replied, "God, I have to wait for my twin brother, darkness, to be with me. I can't be there without the darkness."
God asks, "Well, why do you need to wait? Darkness is there."
Light answered, "In that case, then I am also already here." We invite you now to rise in body or in spirit for our opening hymn. It's Come Sing a Song With Me, number 346 in the hymnal. And I had envisioned more of the verse in there that's about come walk and reign with me, but I think we can count on that occurring before the day is through.
Sing
I gotta pick up after myself up here sometimes. I have a story, not a surprise to those of you who have been coming repeatedly. It's not Leo Leone, which is one of my favorite theologians, and you'll hear several Leone stories here on some Sunday mornings. It's a historic piece of children's literature from the 1940s by Ruth Krauss titled The Carrot Seed. And as you look at the illustrations, which are rather bold, and I think many of you could still see them as a distance, you'll notice a familiar character. This book does not tell us who that character is, but the illustrator Crockett Johnson also illustrated a noted book called Harold and the Purple Crayon, and it's the same kid. So they don't tell us here, but this is Harold. And this is Harold's story about the carrot seed by Ruth Krauss. A boy planted a carrot seed. His mother said, "I'm afraid it won't come up, dear." His father said, "I'm afraid it won't come up." And his big brother said, "It won't come up." I had a big brother, I can relate. Every day, the little boy pulled up the weeds around the seed and sprinkled the ground with water. But nothing came up. And nothing came up. Everyone kept saying, "It won't come up." But he still pulled up the weeds around it every day and sprinkled the ground with water. And then one day, a carrot came up. Pretty marvelous carrot. Just as the little boy knew it would. I'd like to have some carrots like that. That's the end of our story. And we want to sing the song, even though there aren't kids to go downstairs. So I invite you to join in song while we invite the inner child to maybe settle in a little more deeply and not be unruly for the rest of the service.
Now's the time in our service when we remember our joys and concerns with a silent or spoken candle regarding the significant milestones in our lives. Including those at home to participate, I invite those who wish to light a candle, silent or spoken, to please form a line to my right. And for those with spoken candles, give your name, please, and be brief. And please use the red candle in the center of the box to light your candle. Thank you. We know that our financial contributions to this congregation come from sacrifice and hard work. We are so grateful for this, and we commit together to ensure the funds that we gather collectively do a greater good for ourselves and our world than they would have done alone. May there be an offering to sustain and grow the life and mission of this congregation, and may we give in love and in hope. For the gifts that we have received, may we be very grateful. And may we be committed to using these gifts to make a difference in the world and to expand our beloved community.
I invite you all now to just take a deep breath and begin a process of settling in for a time of meditation and shared contemplation, and sit in a way that's comfortable for you. Many meditations suggest trying to keep back pretty straight, but front soft and loose so that air can flow. Because what we're really going to want to do in particular, I have some words to share from Thich Nhat Hanh, who is affectionately known to his followers as Tay. And as you listen, I invite you to simply breathe. And as you breathe in, notice that you're breathing in. Breathing out, noticing you're breathing out. Feeling that sense of breath as it comes through your nose or through your mouth and down your throat and into your lungs, and then out again in the same pathway. Simply focusing and attending on the breath as I share these words from Tay. Tay advised that happiness is impermanent, like everything else. In order for happiness to be extended and renewed, you have to learn how to feed your happiness. Nothing can survive without food, including happiness. Your happiness can die if you don't know how to nourish it. If you cut a flower, but you don't put it in some water, the flower will wilt in a few hours. Even if happiness is already manifesting, we have to continue to nourish it. We can condition our bodies and minds to happiness with 5 practices. 1, letting go. The first method of creating joy and happiness is to cast off, to leave behind. There is a kind of joy that comes from letting go. Breathing in, I know. Breathing in, I am fully present. Breathing in, I know I'm breathing in. Breathing out, I let go. 2, inviting positive seeds. which have many kinds of seeds lying deep in our consciousness. Those we water are the ones that sprout, that come up into our awareness and manifest outwardly. Breathing in, I gather seeds. Breathing out, I sow awareness. Number 3, mindfulness-based joy. Mindfulness helps us not only to get in touch with suffering so that we can embrace and transform it, but also to touch the wonders of life, including our own body. Then breathing in becomes a delight, and breathing out can also be a delight. You truly come to enjoy your breathing. Breathing in, I acknowledge suffering. Breathing out, I embrace joy. 4, concentration. To stay in the present moment takes concentration. Worries and anxieties about the future are always there, ready to take us away. We can see them, acknowledge them, and use our concentration to return to the present moment. Breathing in, I concentrate. Breathing out, I release worries. 5, insight. Insight requires, first of all, that we come home to ourselves, that we make peace with our suffering, treating it tenderly and looking deeply at the roots of our pain. It requires that we let go of useless, unnecessary sufferings and take a closer look at the idea, our idea, of happiness. Breathing in, I look within. Breathing out, I come home to my breath. In and out. Finally, the teacher advises, it requires that we nourish happiness daily with acknowledgement and understanding and compassion for ourselves and for those around us.
What if just one look could soothe a heart that's hurting? What if just one smile could brighten someone's day? What if a kind word could ease another's burden? What if just one soul would choose a kinder way? What if just one seed could grow into a forest? What if just one thought could give a movement birth? What if just one spark could start a revolution? What if just one prayer could move the universe? What if it's your dream that's waiting to awaken? What if it's your story waiting to be told? What if it's your voice that's needed in the chorus? What if just your heart yearning to behold? What if just one seed could grow into a forest? What if just one thought could give a movement birth? What if just one spark could start a revolution? What if just one prayer could move the universe? What if it's our world that's so in need of healing? What if it's our will to make the violence cease? What if it's our song that's sung in every language? What if it's our prayer that all may live in peace? Because of us, one seed can grow into a forest. Because of us, one thought can give a movement birth. Because of us, one spark can start a revolution. Because of us, one prayer can move the universe. Because of us, one prayer can move the universe. Because of us, one prayer can move the universe.
Thank you, Sean, and thank you, Susan. Gifts come now, and gifts come from time past. Our reading is from the parable of the sower in the Christian Bible, Matthew 13, 1-9, slightly adapted. But basically on the New Revised Version of the Christian Bible. On a sunny day long, long ago, the Rabbi Jesus went out of the house where he was staying and sat beside the sea. Such great crowds gathered around him that he got into a boat and stood there, while the whole crowd stood on the beach. And he told them many things in parables, saying, "Listen."
A sower went out to sow, and as he sowed, some seeds fell on the path, and the birds came and ate them up.
Other seeds fell on rocky ground, where they did not have much soil, and they sprang up quickly, since they had no depth of soil. But when the sun rose, they were scorched, and since they had no root, they withered away.
Other seeds fell amongst thorns, and the thorns grew up and choked them.
Other seeds fell on good soil and brought forth grain, some 100-fold, some 60, some 30. Let everyone with ears listen. Listen, Jesus reportedly said to those multitudes. Now this story has been passed down for 2 millennia as an explanation from Jesus, has included an explanation from Jesus as to why he spoke in parables. And they were included in the earliest writings, the accounts of what this teacher had reportedly said. Those accounts that were written down, by the way, about 100 years after the life of Jesus, the historical Jesus. And they've been translated and retranslated many times, so it's difficult to know what may have initially been said, or even who first said it. But I think questions of historical accuracy or appropriate attribution of authorship are kind of secondary to the fact that it's a powerful teaching story, whatever its truth of origin. For whatever we planned in life, it is important that we do so in such a way to assure that what we want to grow and seed has the best chance of sprouting and thriving. Of course, the seeds Jesus was talking about were metaphorical, as are most of the seeds we're going to talk about this morning in this sermon. Sometimes seeds are merely placeholders to represent all we want to nurture and grow. Seeds or anything else we hope will thrive need good conditions to thrive. The Christian gospel goes on to tell us that when anyone hears the word of the kingdom and does not understand it, the evil one comes and snatches away what is sown in the heart. This is what was sown on the path. And for what was sown on rocky ground, this is the one who hears the word and immediately receives it with joy. Yet such a person has no root, but endures only for a while. And when trouble or persecution arise on account of the word, that person immediately falls away. As for what was sown among thorns, this is the one who hears the word, but cares of this age and the lure of wealth choke out the word, and it yields nothing. But as for what was sown on good soil, this is the one who hears the word and understands it, who indeed bears fruit and yields, in one case 100-fold, in another 60, and another 30. Now, many of us who call ourselves Unitarian Universalists find that notion of the Word, any absolute truth, difficult to embrace. But perhaps such absolutism was never the original intention. I have read that in the language of Aramaic, the language that Jesus, if there was such a personage, would have spoken, and was not a written language, that in Aramaic the word one would use to say the word could also be interpreted to mean the conversation. It's a different framing if we think about that quote often used from John. In the beginning, there was the conversation. So perhaps the gospel parable about seeding dialogue and ideas rather than any absolute truth. This morning I want to expand on the use of seeds as metaphors for all we hope to grow in our lives and in our communities. Recognizing, as did that boy who we now know as Harold, who planted his carrot seed, that others may be skeptical about our efforts. But with nurturance and patience, especially patience, lots of patience, what we plant may in time spring forth. Of course, as the boy in the story Harold showed us, weeds grow too. Buddhist teachings offer a somewhat different perspective. As I've shared here before, a number of years ago, I was blessed to spend time with the Buddhist teacher, Larry Ward, who was ordained as a Dharma teacher in the tradition of Thich Nhat Hanh. I remember at a retreat one Saturday, Larry's offering of a Dharma talk, or what some might label a lecture. In that Dharma talk, he too used the metaphor of a seed. Using a flip chart, he drew a horizontal line on a big sheet of paper, and he described how the space above the line was the visible world. And that below the line is that we can't see the inner world, often that which exists within each one of us. He then put blue and red dots on the paper below the line and explained that each represented a seed of thought, and that each of the thought seeds, if you will, have a similar chance of sprouting. The blue dots, he suggested, were thoughts of compassion and love and positive intention. The red dots, meanwhile, were egocentric, self-serving notions that can grow into what he would call suffering. We were asked the seemingly simple question of which seeds we thought would thrive. Those intentions and thoughts that we want to thrive might not always do so, for what thrives is what we attend to. When we give negative notions lots of attention, they will thrive. It's like watering seeds. So we gently pluck such thoughts while they're new and small and toss them aside, while the positive intentions we allow to linger, and we nurture them and help them to grow. In short, what we dwell on, let circle in our minds over and over again, grows, be that negative or positive. Negativity feeds our intention on our intention to it, but also do compassion and love. Our intentions, the seeds of our future actions, grow in significance based in large part on how much we attend to them. Larry Ward's teacher, Thich Nhat Hanh, offers additional thoughts. One way of taking care of our suffering is to invite a seed of the opposite nature to come up. As nothing exists without its opposite, if you have a seed of arrogance, you also have a seed of compassion. Every one of us has a seed of compassion. If you practice mindfulness of compassion every day, the seed of compassion in you will become strong. You need only concentrate on it, and it will come up as a powerful zone of energy. Naturally, when compassion comes up, arrogance goes down. You don't have to fight it or push it down. We can selectively water the good seeds and refrain from watering the negative seeds. Let me give you an example of how I try to do this in my own life. My wife and Suzanne and I have a meditation practice that we try to do most mornings. We're not as regular as we would like to be sometimes, but our practice is consistent. We spend most of our time sitting in silence, and yet we also always end with a specific metta prayer that Suzanne learned some going on 50 years ago. It begins with, "May all beings be happy and at their ease. May they be joyful and live in safety. All beings, whether weak or strong, omitting none." We say it day after day, sit after sit. When I'm not at home or not sitting with Suzanne, I look to other words that reinforce my best intentions, often words from Thich Nhat Hanh, who advised, "The soil of our minds contains many seeds, positive and negative. We are the gardeners who identify, water, and cultivate the best seeds." The best seeds. Determining the best seeds is something we do as inner work and out there in the world. Now, the title of this sermon, Seed Catalog Season, is very much another metaphorical construct. And John, bless his heart, took part of it literally. He's got some seed catalogs out back there for your perusal. Because it's time to look at seed catalogs. I am, and I know as many of you are as a gardener, and it's pretty empty and barren out there in the garden. Save for those few struggling cabbages that I protected under plastic from the frost, and some hardy perennials. There's not much green out there. And there's not also a lot for me to do other than just kind of look at those gray and withered plants. But this is the time to do the most important work of all, to plan. What do I want to grow? And what's out there that I really want to keep? And what might I divide to share with others? I have some notions in my head that come from my own gardening experience, but I also look around for good ideas, be they those that I observe in others' gardens or the advice I get from trusted gardener friends. I also look at seed catalogs. I used to get Burpee's seed catalog every winter. Recently, my looking has been more online. Johnny's Select Seeds keeps sending me little notices in my email inbox of what variety they think I might try this year. My favorite seeds, though, these days usually come from Territorial Seeds. And John, you're right, they're higher priced, but they are designed and tested for this region. So I buy a lot of my seeds from Territorial. I also this year, for the first time, am doing some seed saving. I have cornflowers and milkweed seeds and some seeds from some calendula that reportedly are descendants of flowers from a Tibetan monastery. I got those seeds at the church grounds at the Unitarian Universalist Church in Eugene, where I've been on the ground crew for a while. In my garden, I planted a lot of wildflowers, and this has created a new challenge for me because I planted a mixture. And when they come up, it's sometimes very difficult to look and say, is that a weed or a wildflower? And sometimes you just need to let them grow and decide if you like them to determine which they are. Planning what to plant, where and when is the work I can begin during this cold and somewhat desolate time. It is important work. Well, I am sure that it will come to no surprise when I tell you that I also think such planning is the most important work in the seasons of our lives, individually and in community. In my first week serving as your minister, I've been asking you to help me and lay leaders know what it is you most treasure here. What are your perennial practices that you want to fertilize and nurture? What might you transplant and move around? What are ideas to be borrowed from other congregations? What might we find by looking around and doing some research that we might also try here? I hope we can explore, too, what are some of your weeds and your sometimes less than fragrant mud. Sometimes we don't always want to dredge those up. Thich Nhat Hanh, though, offers a valuable metaphor in his book, which is titled, No Mud, No Lotus, The Art of Transforming Suffering. Everyone knows we need to have mud for lotuses to grow. The mud doesn't smell so good, but the lotus flower smells very good. If you don't have mud, the lotus won't manifest. You can't grow lotus flowers on marble. Without mud, there can be no lotus. I like to literally muck around in the mud. One of my favorite ways of participating in home church in Eugene is the ground crew, because we get to be out there and dig in the dirt and play in mud. By the way, as noticed, I want to do a little infomercial for the meditation practice that will begin here on Tuesday afternoons. And it will be based on Thich Nhat Hanh's teachings. And what we will do there, we will sit a bit, hear some readings from Tay, as we did this morning. Then we'll get up and we'll do walking meditation for a bit before we sit again. Why walking meditation? Well, as Tay describes it as his favorite form of practice, as he tells us, if someone were to ask, what's the purpose of walking meditation? What's the point? Why do you practice it? There are several answers we can give. But for me, he reported, the best answer is, because I like it. I like it too, and I hope you will if you join me. Now, I used to have a bumper sticker on my old pickup that read, "Compost happens." As I reminded people, though, it happens most effectively sometimes when you stir it up. Together, let us compost the past and look to the future and explore together the things this community likes best. The harvests of past years you want to replicate, new seeds you wish to plant, cuttings we might solicit from others, so that we may nurture and enjoy this beautiful, bountiful, and loving community. May it be so. Now, this is a time that's for the extroverts. We've got a few minutes here. If people have comments they want to respond now, that's what this time is designated in the tradition of this congregation.
Is there anyone that'd like to ask a question, comment? John, want to start off?
Thank you, Reverend. And I do quite agree with you that planning is one of the best things you can do. Last year, I didn't plan all that well, and I spent $80 on seeds.
Well, and around here we have to, the reality of climate, and it's true in larger senses of political, social climates, we have to pay attention to particular seasons. The last 2 years have not only been tumultuous out there in the world, but hard to plant a garden. I don't know if you remember, but not this spring, but the spring, I always have to get my year straight, spring of 21 was warm and dry and early. Spring of 22, not so much. I even had a lousy zucchini crop because I started early. Here, lousy zucchini, come on, so
Anyone
paying
else?
attention to those details and timeliness, I think, are very important in the garden and in our lives. Any other thoughts? And of course, I am comfortable with some silence, but if you have words you'd like to share, Jason's up here.
Given an invitation, I always have something to say. I was thinking about some of the past and what we might not still be able to do. And one of the most wonderful things of what we used to do was take the women and kids camping for a week. And the rule of the camp was, no matter what a kid wanted to do, find a way to say yes. And we had marvelous adventures. We also had, as a part of that camp, one male that everybody decided back in those days there had to be a male in the detail. And that person usually had a book and sat by the fire and drank whatever was in that thing he was holding. And that was the extent of their duty, was to be right there. So I'm thinking, no, we're a little too old for that, but boy, I'm ready to get it started if we find some kids who want to learn to be in the great out of doors.
There may be some modified versions that we
Yeah.
would explore as the weather gets a little better in terms of more reliable of spending time together. The first Sunday, we asked for feedback from the congregation in cards, and again repeated when we asked, how do you find centering? How do you find your own spiritual depth? Nature was often repeated. Maybe spending some time, as weather improves, I'm sure we'll do it on Tuesdays when we do walking meditation. We will walk out the door, but maybe we look at some other opportunities as spring emerges, and at least the rains will get a little warmer. So.
Thank you, Dennis. I really appreciate the emphasis on thinking about what works and what doesn't work. I mean, as a gardener myself, you find the things that will grow and you find the things that won't grow. And one thing that Dennis said to me this past week, he says, have you ever thought that maybe doing something because we've always done something is really the best way to go? So we're open to suggestions and comments, and this is our time. We have a new minister. We have new people coming. We welcome your suggestions and your thoughts. Please share. That's what we're here for, so we all can be stronger and grow together. Thank you.
Okay.
Anyone else?
Just had a thought, and it dovetails with what you just said, Martha. I heard a quote some time ago that said, if the grass always looks greener somewhere else, try watering and fertilizing where you stand.
Good point.
And make some decisions about what grass blend, what seed blend, what fertilizer is appropriate for this time and place. So there are all those variable factors that we're beginning to poke around at. I invite you now to rise in body or spirit for our closing hymn. It's number 6 in your hymnal, or is it 106? 106? 6. Just as long as I have breath. I've got a little glare on my screen here. For those who like the music, it's in the hymnal. For those of you who are willing to just go along with it and find the melody along with the words, you can sing looking up.
Just as long as I have breath, I must answer yes to life. Though with pain I made my way, still with hope I meet each day. If they ask what I did well, tell them I said yes to life. Just as long as visionless, I must answer yes to truth. In my dream and in my dark, always that elusive spark. If they ask what I did well, tell them I said yes to truth. Just as long as my heart beats, I must answer yes to love. Disappointment pierced me through, still I kept on loving you. If they ask what I did best, tell them I said yes to love.
Again, words from Thich Nhat Hanh. The soil of our mind contains many seeds, positive and negative.
We are the gardeners who identify, water, and cultivate the best seeds.
Shalom, shalom. Amen and blessed be. Go in peace, go in love. Please linger, if you will, for some coffee and continuing conversation.